come here, my friend, because I have something for you. So you want to study abroad and you're in the process of applying to schools. Let me tell you 5 things you can do right now that would increase your chance of getting very good funding. And I'm not talking about $5,000 funding. I'm talking good money, good cash, okay? So let us jump right into it. One thing you can do that can really significantly increase your chance of getting good funding is applying to STEM programs. STEM meaning science, tech, engineering, math, okay? So instead of applying to regular, say, even if you want to do like an MBA or a business program, don't think that there aren't business programs or like MBA programs that are STEM, that are considered STEM. If you apply to programs that are STEM programs, preferably anything in science, tech, engineering, math, that is much better than applying to non-tech, non-STEM programs. And this is the reason. A lot of STEM programs have so much more money, so much more funding than non-STEM programs. And I don't know all the reasons, but one reason I have for that is STEM programs, even after you've graduated, STEM programs pay more. And if you're an OG on this channel, you already know that when a school has more money from its alumni, that school has enough to be able to offer good funding to you when you apply. So that's one reason I think that a lot of STEM programs have more money. Also, a lot of STEM programs get funding from governments, from research institutions, from a lot of places that non-STEM programs don't have that opportunity to get cash from. So that's why STEM programs generally have more money. So another thing you can do, and this is one that a lot of people don't really like to hear, but I'll tell you, this is one of the most powerful things you can do to significantly increase your chance of getting very good funding from a school. Take tests. And when I say take tests, I'm not talking about like English tests like IELTS or TOEFL. No, I'm talking about GRE, GMAT type of tests. If you apply to grad school programs, many of them may say we do not require you to take tests, and that is true. But if you take a test like GRE and you get a very high score, I have seen this over and over again. A lot of people that get very high GRE scores get very good funding. A lot of them get full funding. Why is this the case? When the admission committee is kind of evaluating candidates, they use a lot of things. One of the major things they are looking for is your academic strength, if I can put it that way, or your academic capability to survive in the program, to go through the rigor of the program and still come out successful. So for that academic rigor and academic strength that they are looking for when they look through your application, a lot of students have high GPAs depending on circumstances and situations and what schools they went to. If someone that just like you, maybe you had a 3.0 GPA and another person had a 3.0 GPA, but you decided to take a test, that test is another confirmation. It's like icing on the cake. It's like another proof that Doyin is really one person that we can place our bet on. And that way, even though they will offer both of you the admission offer, they will offer you more funding than they will offer to that person, because they just have more proof that you can go through the academic rigor of that program. Does that make sense? So if possible, if you still have time, at least try to take tests if you can. But if you can't and it's not required, fine. But if you want to increase your chance of getting funding, make sure you take all these GRE, GMAT kind of tests. And if you don't get a high score, then you don't have to submit, since it's not required. But if you get a very high score, please submit it and you'll get very good funding. Another thing you can do to really significantly improve your chance of getting good funding is to submit a strong application. Okay, very strong application. So I think this is the most important point, and the one I always talk about on this channel is funding. For a school to give you good funding, they look at everything you submitted as part of the application process. So your job is to make sure in that application you tell the school, hey, listen, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. Okay, that's your job. You need to tell the school you're the best thing since sliced bread. So whether or not you are the best thing since sliced bread, you need to market yourself like you're the best thing. So in your application, every single thing you submit to that school, make sure it's excellent. Okay, I need to repeat that one. Okay, make sure everything you submit to the school is excellent, from your resume, essays, your personal statements, your everything. Put in effort. GPA is one thing that I know that you cannot change, maybe your undergrad GPA, and that's fine, but you see everything else, put in effort. Even your recommendation letters. I see people, they tell me, I've sent my former professor, I've sent him an email to write my recommendation letter. He says he'll write it. I'm just like, that in itself is a red flag. Don't just tell someone to write your recommendation letter. No, you need to tell the person what aspects of your capability, of your life, of your interaction do you want them to write in that recommendation letter. You need to make that recommendation letter powerful and specific, right? So that as a whole, you are submitting a very strong application. If funding is important to you, put in effort. Don't start writing your personal statement 3 days before the deadline. We're not doing that this year, okay? If you need help with any aspect of this application, just click the link in my description, in the bio, wherever you're watching this. Click the link and check out the templates that I have. I have templates for every single aspect of the application process, even for your recommendation letters, your resume. You will see templates that you can use that have worked over and over and over for me, for my clients, for a lot of people that I have helped to get into great schools and have gotten so much funding. So please click the link, check out the template and see if you can use that. Or you can also just join my bootcamp that I do a couple of times in a year if there are spots. If there are spots, click the link, join. If there are no spots, just join the wait list or get templates that you can use in the meantime. So make sure you submit a grade application. We are not playing with that this year. That is the main thing you need to do. Every interaction with that school, make it top notch. So another thing you want to do to increase your chance of getting good funding is apply to multiple countries. This is where a lot of you're like, oh, I have a sister in Australia, I'm only applying to Australian schools. That is good, but except your sister is going to fund your education, okay? If your sister is a rich auntie, then I get it. But if your sister is not a rich auntie and you need to hustle for yourself the way I did, because I didn't have a sister here or anywhere, make sure you apply to multiple countries. And there are so many reasons for this, but main reason is there are some countries that just generally, the schools in those countries have more funding than schools in other countries. So the way I rank the major destinations, and you can disagree with me if you want, when you think about funding, a lot of schools in the US offer the most funding I've seen, then schools in Canada, then the UK. It's not the other way around. That's kind of the way I've seen it consistently over and over and over again. Canada isn't like the best destination for funding or anything, but at least they are like below the US and then the UK. That's how I've experienced it, but you can tell me what you have experienced in the comments. But the point is, don't just apply to schools in Canada. Don't just apply to schools in the UK. Don't just apply to schools in Europe. Apply to a mix. And if you are applying to schools in these countries, apply to different kinds of schools, right? And there's usually an approach. There's usually what's right for you. But the point is, don't just apply to only schools in a specific country if you need funding. One other thing you can do to increase your chance of getting good funding is to apply to a good mix of schools. And I've talked about this a lot on this channel, but make sure you put in so much effort at the beginning. Before you apply to each school, make sure you put in effort then. Instead of saying, I'll apply to schools once I get the admission offer, then I will think about funding. No, think about funding from beginning, from day one, before you apply to any school. Let funding guide you. Follow the money. That's all I'll say. Follow the money, okay? So apply to a good mix of schools from beginning, and apply to schools that you know usually would offer good funding. That's it, my friend. If you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up and also subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you need any help with the entire application process, click the link in the description. There are always so many templates that I've created that you can basically copy, paste and tweak to your situation, and make sure you're putting your best foot forward this year. That's it, and I'll see you in my next video.